after a short hiatus, but hey, it's the summer. It's another video where I'm answering your questions because I miss hockey. Very happy that it's the summer, but I miss hockey. But here are some questions that I received from my Facebook page. Steve Dangle, all one word. And I'm on a bunch of other things like Twitter, Tumblr, I got Google Plus now, Flickr, Reddit, new video blog on allhockey.ru. Recently wrote an article for Maple Leafs Annual that's going to be coming out soon. So check out that stuff and hopefully it'll cure the August hockey itch. This first question comes from my homeland of Scarborough, Ontario. It's technically now part of Toronto, but when I was born it wasn't. And this comes from Alessandro. And he asked, do you think Tim Connolly will be a good #1 center for the Leafs, and what are your expectations for him? Well, first things first, I'm certainly not going to bury the guy because he hasn't played a game with the Leafs yet. But let's pretend he was never signed and we were just having a conversation of, hey, if you wanted to build a contending team, who would be your #1 center? You'd probably go through a lot of names before you said Tim Connolly. That being said, I think he can play that role because his style of play provides something that is seriously lacked in the Leaf system for a while now, and that's scoring. He's a bit more of a playmaker type, and everyone's saying, well, he can set up Phil Kessel, that's great, but you know, Lupul can snipe too. He wasn't a total offensive juggernaut in his short time with the Leafs, but he showed that he has a pretty accurate shot. And if Connolly has to, he can deke your pants off too. Ideally, this Connolly signing will help take some pressure off the Grabovski line, and it'll help Tyler Bozak be the player that he can be. And a lot of people are kind of forgetting, what happens if Matthew Lombardi is good to go? Because if that happens, all of a sudden you have Connolly, Grabovski, Bozak, and Lombardi, plus you got a bunch of guys fighting it out for that bottom line center spot, Daryl Boyce and Philippe Dupuis. And how could I forget Mike Zigomanis re-signed as well? And a prospect waiting down the line by the name of Joe Colborne. That makes center pretty crowded all of a sudden. That'll be interesting. So to get back to your original question, I'm not sure Tim Connolly will be a fantastic #1 center, but he'll be one at very least, and that's something that the Leafs haven't had. You could certainly argue that Grabovski was that guy last year, but ideally I don't think you have him doing that. Josh Kane asks, will Detroit be a cup contender? Remember when that wasn't even a question? Actually, let me stop you right there. I still don't think it's even a question. Detroit, to me, until something really fundamentally changes about that team, will always be competitive. You know, they lost guys like Chris Draper and Chris Osgood. They lost a lot of Chris's this past summer to retirement, guys that won cups with them, but at the same time, they played a very diminished role over the last couple of years. I mean, especially in net, Jimmy Howard is clearly the guy. And you look and say, well, Lidstrom's older, but look at his numbers and it doesn't matter. And on a team where Lidstrom is performing, and if Datsuk, Zetterberg, and guys like Johan Franzen are staying healthy, that's monstrous. I would say the Wings have at least 2 more years before you need to reevaluate that question. For now, they've always got a shot. Next one comes from Evan from Oceanside, New York, asking, what are the Islanders going to do with Evgeny Nabokov? Okay, first and foremost, what the Islanders did to Nabokov is totally within the rules and fine. He wanted to sign with Detroit, who was a clear contender last year that would have really appreciated his help, but no, they signed him to play for their, close to last place team. Now, while that's really, really funny, why do that? Your question is, what should they do with Nabokov? And while Nabokov's play has trailed off so much, he should probably be thankful that any NHL team wants him. But after what the Islanders did to him, I think they should be happy that Nabokov is willing to play. Islanders used 25 goalies last year. It might be nice to get some stability for a change. And even if that stability is going into the season with Nabokov and DiPietro, which isn't a fantastic tandem, just do it. And if Nabokov really turns into a problem, we'll look at his contract. That problem's easily taken care of. Tell him to Amscray. I understand why you would steal a player off waivers from a team that just signed from Europe. I understand it. But when it's a guy like Nabokov who is going to one team specifically, why? There's some guys that, signed with one team and they prefer to be with that one team, but for the most part, they're like, I'll just play in the NHL. He wanted that one team. And when he didn't want to report to the New York friggin' Islanders, the Islanders were like, I don't understand suspension. He wanted to win, and the Islanders didn't provide that opportunity last year, and they're certainly not going to provide it this year. Also, here's a thought, Nabokov can help you hit the cap floor. Sorry to rag on the Islanders so hard, but some people in that organization are just silly geese. So this was just a quick questions video. I'm going to be doing a lot more throughout the summer. Like I said at the beginning of the video, add me on Google Plus, which I have now, Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, Flickr, all that stuff. And I have a question. With the season approaching, with everyone sending me messages like, I wish hockey was back, what do you miss the most about it, and what are you most looking forward to this upcoming season? Lady, I don't know why I gave you that voice.